I'm Tom Baker, this is Chasing Cars, and this SUV next to me is suddenly more relevant than ever. This is the Maserati Grecale, and if you were shopping for something like a BMW X3 or Audi Q5 or Porsche Macan, you might never have considered the Grecale. But a lot has changed in the luxury mid-size SUV segment in the last couple of years, not least the fact that the combustion Porsche Macan is dead and won't be replaced for 2 years. In response, Maserati has made a big change to the Grecale. You could always get a V6 in this car, but they've decided to make the V6 cheaper by introducing a slightly detuned version that is effectively designed to clean up all the buyers that would have bought a petrol-powered Porsche Macan, while also trying to convert people out of six-cylinder BMW X3s and into something a little bit more emotional, a little bit more interesting, and of course, something quite Italian. So in today's video, we're going to interrogate whether or not you should give a chance to the Grecale, which is probably currently a little bit underrated. Before we get going though, make sure to hit subscribe and the notification bell. Chasing Cars, honest reviews of your next car. Brought to you by Budget Direct. So if you haven't really heard of the Grecale, or maybe you've heard of it and just haven't really considered it, you'd probably be forgiven because this car is not selling in the numbers that it probably should be. The underpinnings are actually fairly straightforward. The Grecale is based on the same platform as the Alfa Romeo Giulia and the Alfa Romeo Stelvio, and those cars are some of the best premium mid-sizes to drive that we have ever tested. So the fundamentals of the Grecale should be pretty good. One of the reasons it's underperformed in sales in Australia so far is because it's frankly pretty expensive. Undoubtedly, Maserati perceives that the Grecale sits in a higher class to cars like the BMW X3, Audi Q5 and Mercedes GLC. Maybe it does, but that's where all of the volume is in premium. So the Grecale would have to do a bang-up job of convincing people it was that much better. So does it? Well, in part, yes. And a big part of that convincing argument is right here in the interior. There has been a cataclysm in the premium mid-size SUV segment in the last several years in terms of huge downgrades in interior quality and usability. That problem is not an issue here in the Grecale. Not everything is perfect, but the interior is beautifully finished with acres of real leather, extremely comfortable seats with plenty of power adjustment, heating and cooling, leather or faux leather lining virtually everything you can see, and gorgeous open pore woods and real metals filling in all of the gaps in this cabin. And that now extends to a few touch-ups for 2027, including metal appliques down here for the buttons to shift the transmission. Now, are those buttons the best way to shift the transmission? No, but at least they're better to interact with now. The same can also be said for the two touchscreens. Would I prefer buttons and knobs for climate? Yes, but actually the lower touchscreen makes it quite easy to change your fan speed, temperature, and other settings on the go. The central touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay is straightforward, and the digital instrument cluster is highly customizable. And you get this kind of cool extra display here that can be like a watch face or a compass or a few other things, just a whimsical touch. Physical shortcuts on the steering wheel, physical drive mode switch. You can just reach out and change the direction of the air vents. The ergonomics in here are not so much Italian as Germanic, but the Grecale is actually out-Germaning the German cars in how easy it is to live with. There's very few complaints I have about this interior. Good job, Maserati. What about in the backseat? Now, I mentioned up front that the Grecale actually plays a sort of new role in the Australian market because of the departure of the combustion Macan, at least for the next couple of years while Porsche figures out a replacement for that car. But in actual fact, if you've ever seen one of our reviews of the Macan, you would know that the back seat is pretty tiny in that car. The Grecale actually doesn't have that problem, mostly because the wheels are pushed right to the corners. The wheelbase is 2,900 mils or so, which is quite long for this class, in part because you can get a fully electric version of the Grecale. It's less than 10% of production so far, but it has a huge battery sitting between the axles. Of course, this is the combustion V6. That's probably the one that most people would find most appealing for now. You can see for me, legroom is fine behind my own driving position. Headroom is good, although our test car here does not have a sunroof, so that helps a little bit. Plenty of tow room and excellent support for the legs actually makes the Maserati Grecale a pretty practical family car. Your adult passengers, children, teenagers will fit back here without a problem. And you've got air vents, heated seats. USB power back here. And again, all of those beautiful finishings extend to the back. So even though the Grecale has definitely been one of the pricier options in this segment since it launched, at least it follows up with an interior that feels noticeably more expensive and more resolved than this car's German rivals. Getting back out of the Grecale and coming around the back, a note on styling. I think this is a pretty handsome and conventional looking car. Maserati have not really pushed the boat out too far in terms of the design. And for 2027, the changes are really minimal. Just things like the front and rear apron to introduce a few cues off the company's high-end sports cars and race cars. But on the whole, it's fairly well resolved. You can let me know what you think down below. The only thing I would point out, as you know, I'm a bit of a sicko for good specs. If you go for the V6, there's no way to get the silver window surrounds and chrome package on this car, which naturally is how I would take it. Interesting thing about the Grecale, it looks tiny in photos, but it's actually bigger than it seems. It's got a really long wheelbase, and it's also got quite a large boot for the segment. Powered tailgate beeps as it gets out of the way, but it opens up to reveal a really good sized boot that is surprisingly deep, wide, has a low opening, makes it nice and easy to get your heavy stuff into it. About the only shortfall really is that there's no spare wheel and tire, only a tire repair kit, which is of course something that we see a lot at the moment. You can even fold the back seats from right here in the boot. They're spring loaded and they fold completely flat. So, I mean, as Italian cars go, this one is fairly practical. So, time to take the Maserati Grecale Modena V6 out for a drive. And I think this really has to be the clincher, right? Because if the Maserati doesn't drive really effectively, then what is there to tempt you out of something like the X3 M50 other than this very salubrious interior, which certainly counts for something. But I think the promise of the Trident brand is that the cars will in fact be fun dynamically. So, how does it compare? Well, first of all, the amount of performance on offer is good from the detuned V6, if I guess nothing completely crazy. 287 kilowatts of power and 500 newton meters of torque from the 3-litre twin-turbo Nettuno V6 is definitely pretty effective, and the 0 to 100 time is 4.9 seconds. For a mid-sized premium SUV, that's certainly quick enough, and of course there remain other options to go even faster in your Grecale, because the Trofeo version with significantly more power from the same engine and the Folgore EV are not going anywhere. Plus, the Grecale compares pretty well in terms of sound if we have a listen. Definitely has that bassy, meaty note that you hope for from a V6, if perhaps not the kind of high-pitched blare that you might hope from a 6-cylinder Maserati. But in this day and age where engines make very little sound at all, and much of the time we find ourselves driving 4-cylinders, hybrids and EVs, well, frankly, we should probably be grateful for this much. But really, the Grecale is more about the chassis that it brings to the fore. How does it go in terms of ride and handling? The underpinnings of this SUV being shared with the Alfa Romeo Stelvio, which is simply one of the best SUVs in the world to drive, I think give you very, very high hopes and expectations for the Maserati. And for the most part, it does achieve them, but there are a couple of traits that you just wish were a little bit more polished in the Maserati. And for me, the big one is the steering feel. The ratio is nice and natural. The front end certainly goes where you point it, and the grip from the Pirelli P0s is really good and tenacious. But that kind of beautiful, silky, liquid-like steering response that you get in the Stelvio is just not present here. You can feel that the engineers felt the need to give the Grecale a retune so it didn't feel too much like the Alfa Romeo from behind the wheel. The unfortunate point is when you need to give a retune to a car like the Stelvio, the only way you're going is away from perfection, unfortunately. Thankfully, there's better things to be said about the ride quality of the Grecale, and even on big wheels and a pretty sporty chassis, the adaptively damped Modena V6 rides really well. The choice between the comfort damper setting and the sport damper setting isn't particularly wide in terms of bandwidth, and both of them could ultimately use a little bit better and stronger lateral control as you're traversing bumps. But on the whole, the suspension of this car is surprisingly compliant and lives up to what Maserati is becoming quite confident in explaining is what they want to achieve with their cars, which is sportiness and a higher speed, but not while sacrificing ride quality. And for me, and for anyone that spends their time on rough roads in Australia, I think that's actually quite a nice mix. So does the Grecale hit the same highs as the outgoing and dearly departed combustion Macan in terms of handling and ride? The Maserati probably has slightly the better of the Porsche. But the fact is, the Porsche Macan combustion doesn't exist anymore, so it's not a fair comparison. The BMW X3 M50 and Audi SQ5 do provide more contemporary comparisons, and I think the Grecale Modena V6 is certainly competitive with the ride and handling of those cars. So that means perhaps the clincher isn't driving dynamics after all. Perhaps it is the rest of the experience, like this interior that we're sitting in. And the fact of the matter is, the Audi interior is currently not up to scratch. The BMW interior is currently not up to scratch. The Maserati cabin makes you feel like you've spent the money. That being said, the price premium simply cannot be too high on this car, or the Grecale simply won't appear on consideration lists. Then there's things like safety, which is fine, but I found myself reaching for the button to turn off the driver distraction monitoring in particular, because while I was looking dead ahead at the road, my eyes couldn't be seen through polarized sunglasses. So it just goes to show the technology isn't perfect all the time. So what is the verdict on the updated Maserati Grecale for 2027? Is this an SUV that you should finally put on your shopping list if you're after something premium, mid-size, and with 6-cylinder power? Well, I think many of us find that, the idea of owning a Maserati is something that definitely sounds good in theory. But with the Grecale, and particularly with the Modena V6, it now starts to make some sense in terms of this car's packaging, how comfortable it is, and how relatively decent it is to drive. And the fact that there's now a more accessible V6 means you don't have to settle for a 4-cylinder, because let's face it, who wants a 4-cylinder Maserati SUV? I certainly don't. The big question is, how expensive is this car going to be in Australia? The Grecale is significantly underperforming globally in terms of sales, but especially in Australia, where this thing was outsold last year by the Macan by an enormous ratio. In my view, Maserati Australia needs to seriously sharpen its pencil on the Grecale, because it's actually sitting on a really compelling car that deserves to be sitting in way more Australian driveways. The Grecale Modena V6 should be priced to be competitive with the BMW X3 M50 and the Audi SQ5. So if you read between my fairly clear lines, this would need to be a lot cheaper than the existing Grecale Trofeo. But I would recommend at least a test drive if you're after something a bit left field and a bit interesting in the premium mid-size SUV category. Let me know your opinions down below this video in the comments. While you're there, hit subscribe and the notification bell. And as always, thank you for watching Chasing Cars.